Chapter 1 Introduction. The cosmopsychological maxim of Indic scriptures. Stories have always been the lifeblood of any culture. They are the ancient threads woven into the fabric of who we are. Their power spans the ages, leaping over chasms of time, whispering across lands, and through the voices of countless generations. They carry with them the essence of hope and the pulse of courage. Since the dawn of time, stories have borne truths draped in metaphors, passing through the hands of storytellers like sacred relics. The old ones knew this. They knew that stories were more than a way to pass the hour or a thing to fill the silence. They knew stories were vessels, ships built to hold the weight of wisdom, the codes of right and wrong, the mysteries that defy easy telling. They understood that to weave a tale was to weave understanding itself. Through shadowed allegories and characters larger than life, heroes, monsters, tricksters, and gods, they tucked away the secrets of the universe so that anyone who listened with ears to hear might carry those lessons forward, even as the world changed around them. In stories, abstract concepts become accessible, and complex truths find resonance in the heart of the listener. Whether through epics, myths, or parables, these narratives often personify the struggles and triumphs of the human soul, guiding us through higher understanding. From the Indic Puranas to the Iliad, stories served as bridge between the mundane and the divine, revealing layers of meaning that one could contemplate for a lifetime. In their essence, stories offer not just lessons but pathways to self discovery and a deeper connection to the world around us. The Indic civilization, the oldest living culture, owes its resilience to the stories that entwine its people across centuries, binding them with threads spun from memory and myth. The architects of the Indic scriptures, those seers and sages who distilled lifetime of wisdom gathered through austere tapa, shaped their knowledge into layered compositions. These works, braided with intentional ambiguity, stand as puzzles for both the heart and the mind. Some truths sit so plainly within their verses that they seem to mock us with their simplicity, staring out from under the cloak of the familiar. Others are veiled so delicately that even under the gaze of careful scrutiny they evade comprehension, slipping through like wisps of fog. This duality is sharply visible in the measured tone of the Vedas and the pointed inquiries of the Upanishads, where meaning remains just out of immediate grasp, pushing the reader to look closer, listen harder, and learn to discern what isn't directly stated. At first glance, the verses of the Vedas and the Upanishads present themselves as cryptic, an enigma that resists understanding without the guiding hand of an adept interpreter. It is tempting to blame this on the erosion of our grasp of that timeless language, worn thin by the passage of millennia. Yet, perhaps there lies another reason, deeper and more deliberate. These verses were never meant to be simple, never composed for the spoon fed certainty that numbs the seeker's spirit. The great Rishi Vyasa, the sage with eyes that seemed to gaze into the soul of the cosmos, took upon himself an unparalleled task to gather and distill the wisdom of the ages, a sea of knowledge that stretched back beyond the memory of gods and men. In his hands, this immense reservoir of knowledge was organized into four foundational streams, each addressing different dimensions of life and spirituality. The Rig Veda became a compilation of hymns dedicated to the forces of nature and cosmic principles, offering insights into humanity's connection with the divine. The Samaveda took many of these hymns and set them to music, emphasizing the role of melody in ritual and cosmic resonance between sound and creation. The Yajurveda provided detailed instructions on sacrificial rites and ceremonial practices, serving as a guide for maintaining cosmic and societal order through disciplined action. The Atharva Veda, diverse in its content, extended beyond rituals to include practical knowledge on health, governance, everyday concerns, and esoteric practices, interlacing the mystical and the pragmatic into a comprehensive vision of existence. Together, these texts encapsulated the spiritual, philosophical, and material pursuits of life, forming the core of Vedic wisdom. Thus, Vyas earned the title that would echo through the ages, Veda Vyasa, the weaver of the Vedas. But the Vedas are far more than a quartet. Each Veda is subdivided into four parts: the Samhitas, the Brahmanas, the Aranyakas, and the Upanishads. The journey begins with a Samhita, a compilation of hymns and mantras that pulse with praise and devotion. Here, the seeker encounters the sacred verses offered to the deities who preside over the visible and the invisible. Beyond this foundation lies the Brahmanas, where the mantras evolve from expressions of adoration into instruments of power and purpose. This section unveils the sacred framework of rituals. It is here that the verses take on a practical dimension, teaching the rites and ceremonies that harmonize human life with cosmic order. Further along the path, one enters the Aranyakas, the forest texts. These writings are not intended for the temple or the hearth, but for those who seek solitude in the wilderness where the noise of the world resides and the spirit turns inward. In this section, the mantras became meditations, guiding the seeker to perceive reality beyond the senses. The Aranyakas are companions to those who wish to glimpse the eternal through silence, offering wisdom that transcends rituals and touches the formless. Finally, the journey reaches its pinnacle in the Upanishads. Here, the seeker moves beyond the hymns and rites, beyond the forms and symbols that once framed their understanding. In the quiet radiance of these teachings, the sages unveil the ultimate truth, the unity of existence, the eternal essence that breathes through all things. The Upanishads do not merely instruct, they dissolve the layers of rituals and narratives to reveal the essence of being. They are profound in their simplicity, yet infinite in their reach, calling not to the casual listener, but to the one who craves the very marrow of meaning. For those who dare to look beyond the echoes of the sacred, these texts point to the source itself, the truth that was always present, waiting to be realized. Yet, the Upanishads, wrapped in riddles and cloaked in metaphors, are elusive to the untrained mind. To guide the earnest seeker, sages composed the bhashyas, commentaries that serve as torches in the labyrinth. Of these, the words of the great Adi Shankaracharya shine the brightest. The process of understanding and assimilation is, above all, a personal odyssey. This journey leads the sadhaka, the devoted practitioner, through the series of transformative stages. It begins with rhythmic recitations of the mantras from the Samhitas, immersing oneself in the sacred sounds that resonate with the cosmos. From there, it advances to the structured rituals and practices detailed in the Brahmanas, a guide to engage with the divine through rituals. Then come the Aranyakas, where the external rituals turn inward, inviting contemplation and meditation. Finally, the journey culminates in the Upanishads, where the practitioner arrives at a personalized synthesis of wisdom. The Vedas, with their austere tone and veiled wisdom, do not yield their secrets easily. Extracting true understanding is a slow and deliberate process that tests one's patience and endurance. It is a pursuit reserved for the most devoted, for those whose inner fire is enough to withstand the rigors of study. In the older times, only those of the Brahmin Varna were thought to possess the fortitude and mental acumen necessary to undertake this formidable quest. The other three Varnas, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Shudra, had different roles in the society. Kshatriyas were the warriors and rulers, the Vaishyas were the merchants, and the Shudras were the service industry. A question naturally arises. If only the Brahmins delved in the study of the Vedas, how would the other three Varnas achieve spiritual growth? How would the warriors, merchants, and laborers find their path to the sacred teachings and transcendence? To convey the core teachings of Agamas and Vedas to those who could not delve into the intricate depths, something had to be conceived, and thus the Puranas came into being. Maharishi Vyas, having already undertaken a monumental task of dividing the Vedas into their four distinct parts, also composed an array of Puranas and one of the two great itihasas, the Mahabharata, the tale unrivaled in grandeur and revered as the greatest saga ever woven into the fabric of literature. Such is the significance of the Puranas and the Itihasas that they are often hailed as the fifth Veda, for they distill the essence of the Vedas into stories that teach through captivating narratives. Unlike the Vedic structure, which is divided into Samhita, Brahmana, Aranyaka, and Upanishads, the Puranic texts follow a distinct framework defined by a specific criteria. To be considered a Puran, the text must encompass at least five key elements: the creation of the universe, which is called Sarga, its cyclical destruction and renewal, which is Pratisarga, the genealogies of gods, sages, and kings, which is called Vamsha, the narrative of the solar and lunar dynasties, which is called Vamshanucharita, and teachings on cosmology, ethics, and rituals, which is called Manvantara. Though distinct in structure, the stories of the Puranas echo the essence of the Vedic texts, bringing together these elements to present a cohesive version. Their narrative, while richly captivating, serve a higher purpose, awakening a spiritual flame within the heart of those who hear them. At first glance, the Puranas may appear as tales meant for the masses, stories spun to delight and inspire. However, a deeper, nuanced meaning lies beneath the surface, subtly present through the story. These allegories do not shout their meaning, they whisper, lying in the undertones of each story, awaiting the discerning eye that can unravel their hidden truths. The Puranas, diverse in their devotion, are dedicated to a particular deity, extolling their virtue and often proclaiming their supreme status. At first glance, this can give the impression of conflict, as though these texts stand in opposition to one another. Yet, there is an implicit commonality beneath the surface of these narratives, a shared understanding evident in their tone, rhythm, and overall structure. Take, for instance, the Vishnu Puran and the Bhagavatam, which recount the exploits of Vishnu. These texts carry a playful, almost lilting tone, immersing the reader in a sense of divine Leela, the cosmic play of the preserver. By contrast, the Devi Bhagavatam adopts a more gracious and reverent tone, unfolding its tales in measured dignity befitting the great goddess. The Shiva and Skanda Puran, on the other hand, strike a unique balance, blending the playful cadence with the rich infusion of spiritual depth. Yet, when one considers the question of supremacy, these scriptures offer a quiet resolution. Beneath their devotional fervor, they reveal an essential truth. No one deity reigns in isolation. Each divine force is integral to the cosmic order, and none can truly function without the other. In their interplay of devotion and myth, the Puranas remind us that the divine, in all its forms, is ultimately one, manifesting differently to guide, inspire, and sustain the eternal dance of existence. The interdependence of Vishnu, Shiva, and Shakti is a deeply embedded concept within the Indic tradition, reflecting their collective roles in maintaining cosmic balance. Despite sectarian texts often proclaiming the supremacy of one deity over the other, many instances illustrate their recondite interconnectedness. A particularly illustrative example is found in the Mahabharata during the Vanaparva, where Arjun observes that the worship material he offered to Krishna are adoring Shiva. This symbolizes the mutual reverence and exchange of energy between the two deities. The Skanda Puran also speaks about this connection in a prominent verse in Vishnu Khanda, which says, Shivaya Vishnu Rupaya Shiva Rupaya Vishnave Ya Evam Veda Nityam Sa Siddhim Prapnoti Tattvataha. To Shiva, who is in the form of Vishnu, and to Vishnu, who is in the form of Shiva, one who knows this truth eternally attains perfection. The Linga Puran states, Vishnu Shambhustayor Bhedam Yah Karoti Duratmavan Sa Yati Narkam Ghoram Yavat Chandra Divakarao. The wicked one who creates a distinction between Vishnu and Shambhu goes to the worst hell for as long as the moon and sun exist. The Padma Puran states in its Patal Khanda, Harir Haram Pranamyaham Pujayami Padambujam Yasya Dhyananmaya Praptam Sarvam Jnanam Cha Shashvatam. I, Shiva, bow to Hari, Vishnu, and worship his lotus feet. By meditating on him, I attained eternal knowledge. There are instances in the Indic narrative where this theme has been played out as well. On one occasion, Parvati asks Shiva, You are the ultimate Godhead, then why do you need to meditate? When you are the ultimate goal of divine realization, then what is your object of meditation? To this, Shiva replies, I'm always meditating on Vishnu. In another narrative, when goddess Lakshmi has taken a form of a mare and is praying fervently to Shiva, Shiva appears before her and asks, Why do you worship me instead of your divine consort Vishnu? To this, Lakshmi replies, Because I know that Hari, Vishnu, and Hara, Shiva, are the same. These connections show a great degree of reciprocity between the two divine entities, and we will uncover further how they correlate with our psychological landscape. Shakti, the divine feminine energy, binds them together as the dynamic force enabling their actions. The Devi Bhagavatam states that Shakti is the ultimate source, empowering both Vishnu and Shiva to fulfill their cosmic duties. This highlights that no single deity operates in isolation. Their synergy is essential for the universe's continuity. Without Shakti, Shiva becomes Shava, inert. And without Shiva, Shakti has no purpose. And it is Vishnu who makes sure that Shiva and Shakti are together. There are many instances that show how the three energies are codependent on each other and how they, in unison, sustain the cosmos as we know it. But before we explore that, we ought to dwell on a concept of Tapatraya. Tapatraya, the triad of human disquiet, is often understood as three miseries. However, there's a crucial nuance to this concept. It is a curriculum in disguise. It shows three expressions of the same thing. These three expressions are called Adi Bhautik, Adi Daivik, and Adhyatmik. Tapatraya, the threefold fire, is not just what afflicts you, it is also what initiates you. To live is to pass through these flames. To awaken is to begin listening to them. Adi Bhautik includes all disturbances from other beings, humans, animals, elements, the betrayal of friends, the sting of a harsh word, the sudden flood or earthquake. And yet, even these outer events are part of an inner education. The world isn't just attacking you, it's reflecting you, it's confronting you, it's helping you remember that peace isn't about controlling the storm, but learning how to remain unmoved in its center. This pain is real, but so is the clarity it forces. Adi Daivik is more mysterious. Fate, karma, planetary pull, divine will, the forces we do not see but cannot escape. Sudden grief, inexplicable misfortune, ancestral residue, strange dreams, these belong to this realm. This is where logic fails, where surrender begins. The misunderstandings here is not just external, it's cosmic disorientation. And yet, this very disorientation compels reverence. Adhyatmic doesn't just mean inner agony, it is the fire of embodiment. Illness, fatigue, anxiety, restlessness, all these belong here. But so does the inward question that follows. Why am I restless? What does this pain show me about how I live, how I think, what I've believed without question? It is the ache in the body and the disquiet in the mind, but it is also the beginning of introspection. When the body breaks, the ego cracks, and through that crack, light can enter. The Bhagavad Puran says, Tapatrayena bhibhutasya bhagavan sharanam mama. O Lord, overwhelmed by the threefold disturbances, I seek refuge in you. In the Vishnu Puran, it says, Tapatrayam harati yena tasmai shantaya te namaha. Salutations to that peaceful one who dissolves the triad of disturbances. The word harati, which means removes, does not suggest anesthesia. It means to lift the veil, to dissolve the misunderstanding, not just the discomfort. Indic scriptures are renowned for the layered teachings in these three regards. These teachings are designed to guide the seeker at varying levels of awareness. While some traditions assert the existence of as many as 7 or 10 levels of meaning, three foundational layers are widely recognized as Adi Bhautik, Adi Daivik, and Adhyatmik. The Adi Bhautik level serves as the surface narrative, addressing the mundane and the physical realities. It is the story in its most accessible form, offering lessons in ethics, duty, and human relationship. These tales engage directly with the challenges of the material world, presenting heroes and conflicts shaped by the same struggle we face day to day. This level involves the literal narrative, the tangible stories of gods, kings, battles, and adventures, resonating with human emotions and moral dilemmas. Deeper within is the Adi Daivik layer, which connects to the divine and astral realms. At this level, the stories reveal the intricate workings of the cosmic forces, with gods and celestial beings playing key roles in the narrative. These figures, however, are not the ultimate aim. As the texts remind us, gods themselves are actors in the grand cosmic drama, fulfilling their role over vast spans of time. Their purpose is to maintain the universal balance, offering guidance and invoking awe, but their existence serves a higher framework. Gods are also players in the cosmic drama, albeit on a longer timeline. The Adhyatmic layer delves into the spiritual core, uncovering the soul's journey. It speaks of the Atma's quest for liberation and its eventual union with the universal soul, Parabrahman. This level transcends the gods and their actions, focusing on the essence of the self and its ultimate purpose. Here lies the reason for the cosmic drama itself, for the soul to learn, evolve, and transcend the cycle of existence. The Adi Bhautik, material and physical, the Adi Daivik, divine and energetic, and Adhyatmic, spiritual and transcendental concepts represent three interconnected layers of existence: the physical world, cosmic forces, deities, and the innermost self, Atma or Brahman, reflecting a holistic view of reality from gross to subtle. Indic scriptures masterfully twine these layers into a unified narrative, allowing them to resonate across audiences. For some, the outer stories are captivating and sufficient. For others, the deeper layers beckon, revealing truths that extend beyond the visible. However, at every level, the message remains clear. Gods are guides, not the final destination. They are integral to the cosmic order, yet their role is ultimately to support the soul's progress towards the eternal oneness at the heart of all creation. While the Adi Bhautik addresses the physical and mundane, offering moral and practical teachings, the Adhyatmic delves into the deeper truths of existence, revealing the allegorical and mystical dimensions of the stories, requiring the seeker to move beyond surface interpretations. The Adhyatmic spectrums stands as one of the most pivotal aspects of the Indic narratives, transcending the literal and symbolic layers to focus on the spiritual essence. To comprehend the Adhyatmic aspects, one must enter the realm of allegories. Here, the events, characteristics, and verses begin to feel less like stories and more like hints, pointing at something deeper, something we have always sensed but rarely named. This progression demands a shift in perception, urging the reader to view the scriptures not just as historical or mythological accounts, but as maps for spiritual evolution. Some schools interpret the allegory by aligning deities with facets of the human psyche and cosmic principles. For instance, Mahavishnu or Krishna is often equated with the conscious mind, the part of our being that interacts with the material world, guiding our deliberate actions and thoughts. However, I wish to expand this framework and take it further. While Vishnu represents the conscious mind, I conceive of Shiva as the subconscious mind, the vast enigmatic realm beneath the surface of awareness where instincts, archetypes, and latent forces reside. It is Shiva, the Lord of meditation and transformation, who embodies the subconscious ability to dismantle and reconfigure patterns, much like his cosmic dance of destruction and renewal. What seals this connection for me is their shared link to Chitta, the term that holds a full spectrum of consciousness within it. Not just the everyday mind we use to think and choose, but also the deeper layers that run below the surface, the emotional patterns, the instincts, the memories we don't always see. And beyond that, Chitta reaches into something larger, the universal field, the Gaian mind, where individual boundaries blur and all consciousness is part of the single living whole. It includes the personal, the hidden, and the vast. And when a deity is tied to Chitta, it's not just a symbol, it's a statement about presence at every level of awareness, from the self to the cosmos. Vishnu is known as Satchitananda, being, awareness, and joy woven into one. Shiva, by contrast, is Chidananda, pure consciousness, steeped in bliss. One holds the shape of existence, the other its silent depth. Satchitananda is the compound of Sat, Chit, and Ananda. Sat meaning truth, Chit denotes consciousness, and Ananda means bliss. Chidananda is also a compound made of Chitta and Ananda, but it leaves out Sat, truth. So one can ask, is Shiva devoid of truth? Because Shiva is called the ultimate form of truth, the Param Satya. The Shiv Puran states in Vindhyeshwar Samhita, Satyam Shivam Sundaram Nirgunam Brahmam Ahameva Param Brahmam Satyam Jnanamanantamam. Truth, auspiciousness, beauty, the attributeless Brahman, I am the supreme Brahman, infinite truth and knowledge. Shukla Yajurved says, Om Namah Shivaya cha Shivataraya cha Satyaya cha Satyataraya cha. Salutations to Shiva, who is auspiciousness itself, who is truer than truth itself. So, what could be the reason for leaving out Sat from Shiva's name in connection to consciousness? In order to understand this, we ought to understand the innate quality of truth. Truth is something that can be discerned and separated from untruth by our awareness. Therefore, truth is deeply connected with awareness or consciousness. It is the conscious mind that does the job of discerning and filtering truth from its surroundings. In contrast, the subconscious mind is not capable of discerning truth from untruth. Multiple studies have corroborated this aspect of the subconscious mind. Elizabeth Loftus, a prominent American psychologist, in her famous study of misinformation effect and false memory, demonstrated that the subconscious mind can integrate misinformation into its recollection. She states, the subconscious mind is highly susceptible to suggestion. Once a false memory is implanted, individuals often cannot distinguish it from real memory, showing that automatic processes do not inherently verify truth. This suggests the subconscious does not critically evaluate the accuracy of information it stores. Daniel Kahneman, an Israeli-American psychologist, in his dual process theory, System 1 versus System 2, states that System 1, subconscious thinking, is fast and heuristic driven, lacking analytical scrutiny. He states, System 1 operates automatically and cannot be turned off. It does not check facts or question the validity of perception. It merely constructs coherent stories based on available input, regardless of their truth. This implies subconscious processes prioritize coherence over factual accuracy. Another research on brain activity during lying shows increased prefrontal cortex conscious mind engagement, while subconscious regions, example amygdala, react emotionally regardless of truth. This suggests truth discernment requires conscious effort. Therefore, Vishnu gets the aspect of Sat in his name and Shiva is left devoid of Sat. We shall explore this aspect in further detail in the sections dedicated to Vishnu and Shiva later in the book. That leaves us with the third entity from the Indic Trinity. I associate Brahma with manifest reality, the tangible universe that arises from creation, the three-dimensional world that we see, feel and perceive with our senses. Brahma is not just a distant god seated on a lotus crafting galaxies like Potter on his wheel. In allegorical terms, Brahma is the act of manifestation itself. He is the crystallization of possibility into form, what quantum physicists might call the collapse of the wave function, when observation causes potential to become particle. The Mundaka Upanishad offers a hint when it says, as sparks issue from the fire, so do all beings come from Brahman. But Brahma isn't the fire. He is the spark. He is every outcome that has already emerged from potential. If Vishnu is the conscious observer and Shiva the subconscious ponderer, then Brahma is what shows up: the road beneath your feet, the skin on your hand, the ticking of the clock. And then there is Devi, the Adi Shakti, whom I liken to the quantum field, the limitless sea of potential, where all possibilities exist before they take shape in manifest reality. Devi, as the ultimate source of energy and transformation, embodies this boundless, unmanifest potential that fuels the cosmos. The Devi Upanishad's second verse states, Ahamev prakritir vishvadharini, Ahamevaksharam param chaiva vyaktamuchyate, Ahamev kala sthita ravyasthatita cha sarvada, which means I am Prakriti, primordial nature, the sustainer of the universe. I am the imperishable supreme, the unmanifest, avyakta. I transcend time and space, existing beyond all states. The Tripura Rahasya in the third chapter states, Yatha jalam sthalam ridah suvaranam chamalam yatha tathaiva jagatah sarva tripura parameshwari. As water is the essence of waves, clay of pots, and gold of ornaments, so too is Tripura Devi the essence of all creation. The 101st verse of Lalita Sahasranamam says, Spandarupa, Spandamayi, Spandashakti Samanvita, Spandatita, Spandarahita, Spandasara Namostute. Salutations to you who are the essence of vibration, Spanda, both manifesting as vibration and transcending it. But this is just scratching the surface of the concept. When I explored Indic stories from this outlook, a whole new picture emerged. And the objective of this book is to dive deeper into the allegorical undertow of Indic scriptures. This interpretation is my own, shaped by years of contemplation and study of the Indic text. I see it as a way to connect these perennial stories with the universal truths they reveal, connecting the cosmic, the psychological, and the metaphysical. This approach encourages us not only to honor the deities as divine archetypes, but also to recognize them as representations of our own internal and external realities. Let's explore this briefly to understand these connections better. Vishnu is seldom seen in a meditative state. He is always decked up in full Shringhar, always involved in the affairs of the universe, which is the disposition of consciousness. Whereas Shiva is mostly seen in a meditative state, uninvolved in the affairs of the world, devoid of social manners and code of conduct, which are the same qualities of the subconscious mind. Neuroscience and psychology consistently highlight the significant role the subconscious mind plays in shaping perception, behavior, and decision making. Unlike the conscious mind, which handles focused attention and rational thought, the subconscious manages a vast range of background processes, including emotional regulation, learned habits, and automatic functions, without requiring active awareness. Studies in cognitive science estimate that up to 95% of our mental activity occurs below the level of conscious awareness, making the subconscious a dominant force in everyday functioning. While claims that the subconscious mind is 30,000 times more powerful than the conscious mind are not scientifically grounded, they reflect a general recognition of its scale and influence. Importantly, the subconscious does not generate content independently. It absorbs and acts upon repeated signals, beliefs, and emotional impressions impressed upon it by the conscious mind. This mechanism explains how external experiences, especially those reinforced over time, shape internal narrative and influence long-term behavior, often without us realizing it. Thus, the conscious mind, like Vishnu, directs the narrative, while the subconscious mind, akin to Shiva, works tirelessly behind the veil, creating reality based upon those conscious inputs. Hence, Shiva is always meditating on Vishnu. Shakti is the pulse of existence itself, weaving herself into the fabric of all that is seen and unseen. She dances between the worlds of the manifest and unmanifest, embodying both the tangible and the ineffable. To one, she may appear wild and unbridled, the tempest of primal energy that reshapes the cosmos with abandon. To another, she is reticent, veiled in serene silence, withholding mysteries from those not yet ready to perceive them. And yet, to those who seek her with devotion and surrender, she reveals herself as the boundless compassion, a nurturing force that sustains creation with tender grace. Her essence is ever shifting, molded by the vision of the beholder. For Shakti does not conform to a single form or narrative. She is at once the fierce Kali, the benevolent Lakshmi, the wise Saraswati, and the infinite void beyond all forms as Adi Shakti. She exists simultaneously as the manifested universe, the stars, the rivers, the trees, and as the unmanifest potential, the vast quantum field from which all creation arises. In her duality lies her truth, for Shakti is both the wave and the ocean, the spark and the blaze, the form and the formless, ever fluid, ever becoming. And hence, I propose that Adi Shakti can be envisioned as the embodiment of potential energy, the boundless quantum field, and the infinite intelligence that serves as a foundation of all creation. She is the primordial source from which all possibilities emerge, the unmanifest reservoir of creative potential that shapes reality through its interplay with consciousness, that is Vishnu, and the subconscious, that is Shiva. Through this maxim, the Trinity becomes a harmonious dance of forces. Vishnu, as the conscious mind, guides with intention and focus. Shiva, as the subconscious mind, harnesses the vast depths of memory and belief, and Adi Shakti, as the quantum field, supplies the infinite well of potential that manifests into the physical realm. Together, they form the cyclical interplay wherein thoughts and beliefs converge with energy to give rise to the world we experience. It is within this sacred triad that the essence of creation, sustenance, and transformation unfolds. A dynamic flow that binds the tangible and the intangible into one unified whole. Thus, the Indic Trinity can be viewed through two complementary lenses. From the perspective of reverence, it is Shiva, Shakti, and Vishnu. From the Bhautik, mundane viewpoint, the Trinity is Brahma, Vishnu, and Mahesh, Shiva as Maheshwar, representing the forces of manifestation, preservation, and transformation that govern the physical universe. Through this endeavor, using this new maxim, we aim to move beyond the surface narratives and into the mystical core of the Indic scriptures. This new maxim serves as the lens to explore these texts not merely as repositories of myths and rituals, but as intricate allegories teeming with hidden wisdom. By embracing this perspective, we uncover dimensions that transcend the mundane and enter the esoteric, where every story, symbol, and verse offers glimpses of universal truths. In delving into the vast expanse of Vedic and Puranic literature, one often encounters multiple renditions of the same story, each adorned with its own variations and details. Yet, beneath these differences lies an enduring thread, a core essence that binds these narratives together. As a seeker, our endeavor is to trace this unbroken spine, remaining steadfast in its pursuit amidst the diversity of perspectives. Through this approach, we move beyond the surface distinctions to uncover enduring truths and universal principles that resonate across time. These narratives, with their intricate layers, reveal the structure that draws the mind towards deeper patterns and meanings. They don't just tell story, they outline a rhythm the world seems to follow, allowing us to engage with their depth and meaning. I humbly begin this journey by acknowledging that the interpretations I share are shaped by my personal reflection and not directly drawn from any single text or established tradition. My purpose is not to dispute or reinterpret any sacred beliefs, but to approach the vast expanse of Vedic and Puranic wisdom with reverence and an open heart. Ya Devi Sarvabhuteshu विद्यारूपेण संस्थिताम् नमस्तस्ये 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 नमो नमः।